Known around the world for its charming seaside village atmosphere, Cape Town and the Western Cape offer a unique combination of history.
This is where Nelson Mandela was being kept when he was here.
Nature.
This is the Cape of Good Hope.
Lots and lots of penguins.
And adventure activities like nothing we've seen before.
Oh my God! It jumped!
So we're about to get down in the cage with the great white sharks.
From sharks to sand dunes. Join us as we travel to the very end of this great continent in
Travel with Kids Africa.
I'm Nathan.
And I'm Seamus.
And we're Mom and Dad.
We're traveling around the world discovering amazing countries, new cultures, and really wild experiences together.
Come along with us as we learn all about our planet and about being together as a family.
As we discover the wonders of the world, the wonders of nature, and sometimes wonder, what were we thinking in Travel with Kids? It started out as a supply post for the Dutch East India Company in the 1600s. Cape Town is the oldest city in South Africa. In the 1800s, many of the Dutch headed inland to set up farms, and then the Cape became a British stronghold. But after the discovery of diamonds and gold in the regions to the north and east, Cape Town lost some of its power and eventually came under the rules of apartheid, a system of racial segregation set up by the Afrikaans government. Laws were passed, and non-whites were forcibly moved from the city. Today, with apartheid gone, Cape Town is a peaceful place with tree-lined streets and laid-back beach towns, with people of all races living together. But the history of apartheid and those who work to end it is easily accessible to visitors.
On Robben Island, a small flat island just a few miles off the coast of Cape Town, visitors can see where those who fought against apartheid were held. The island's most famous resident, Nelson Mandela, was held here for most of his 27-year prison sentence. In fact, 3 of South Africa's last presidents served time here during apartheid. Visitors can take a ferry from the Victoria and Alfred waterfront, a touristy port area with shops, restaurants, entertainment, and rides. The ferry takes about 40 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on which boat you take. When we get to the island, we meet some local residents
Penguin.
and then load on a bus and get a tour of the island, including the rock quarry where Mandela and other political prisoners worked. It was here in a cave that many of the ideas for the new constitution were formed by Mandela and others while breaking rocks all day. In fact, our guide really does know the history firsthand.
What did you get put in prison for?
We were charged with high treason. We were arrested in 1984 under Section 29 of Internal Security Act. That is detention without trial. 10 months down the line, we were found guilty and sentenced to 30 years each.
Can you describe a day in prison for you?
And I was working in that kitchen when I was still staying in E section. So I will walk to the kitchen, help with washing the dishes, preparing for the next meal. After lock-up time at 4, I will concentrate on my books. I studied.
But he says they didn't always have that many freedoms. The first prisoners fought for rights. Even their food and uniforms were subject to apartheid.
The ones who do not have shoes on, who have short trousers and short sleeves, those are black prisoners. The Indians, the colored, or even the Chinese or the Asians were allowed to have socks on, shoes on, simply because they were not black people.
Inside the prison, he shows us where the political prisoners were kept.
In this prison, we have 7 sections all in all. 3 of those sections are single cell sections. B section was for the leaders of different organizations. We're always in here, that door always locked. And this section is the only section in this prison that didn't have running water. They were using bucket system. They were not allowed to go anywhere outside this section.
But he says the prisoners found ways to get around the rules, including Nelson Mandela's vegetable garden.
And that garden was also used as a hiding place. Like one of the things that was hidden right at the corner there, it was part of the manuscripts of the book called The Long Walk to Freedom, which was written by Nelson Mandela while he was here.
The boys are shocked by the size of the cells.
This is where Nelson Mandela was being kept when he was here. He didn't have a bed. He just slept on the floor, and there was no bathroom.
And the reasons that the prisoners were locked up here.
During apartheid, you could be locked up for what you believe in.
And you sleep in these tiny little cells.
You were kept here for years.
And your family could barely ever visit.
Not many people escaped.
But our guy did get to escape in a way when apartheid ended in the early 1990s.
That was the happiest day of my life. I was supposed to spend 30 years here, to spend 5.5, and all of a sudden I'm going home. I was a very happy man.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, Mom.
Back at the V&A waterfront, we're greeted by some locals.
There's just seals down there. There's a little hole up there, and they came up here themselves.
After that history lesson, we're ready for some fun, and the kids are eager to discover Cape Town's other underwater creatures. So we head to Two Oceans Aquarium, right here on the dock, for a sneak peek of what's under the surface around the Cape.
Dory!
Oh, but there's more than that here. The waters around Cape Town are known for their penguins, ragged-toothed sharks, and some slightly bigger relatives. But we will have to wait for another day to see great whites, as there's none in captivity here.
She's coming at me.
The aquarium is lots of fun with touch pools, good conservation information, and several feeding times where visitors can see the animals in action. The kids especially enjoy watching the divers in the shark tank. Getting any ideas? Today we are conquering mountains. First up, Cape Town's most famous one, Table Mountain. There are lots of hiking trails around and up Table Mountain, ranging from moderate to extreme. If you do decide to hike, be sure to pack in layers, as weather is extremely variable around the mountain. And let someone know where you'll be hiking. But we have lots of activity packed in later today, so we decide to take a tram to the top. Be prepared for long lines at the base. But what a ride! Well worth it.
We're in a tram that rotates. The floor rotates so we could see a whole 360.
The mountain rise is very steep, but it's flat on the top, hence the name Table Mountain.
We're on Table Mountain, which is, it's a mountain and it just goes straight up and it's flat like a table. And when the clouds are on it, it's really cool because it looks like a tablecloth. That's very steep. Oh my gosh. Oh my. Whoa. Whoa. It's going really fast.
At the top, the kids question how the mountain was formed
I wonder how that.
and take in the spectacular views.
From tall, stony mountains to round, sandy mounds, we head out with downhill adventures to an area just north of Cape Town, known for its more adventurous activities, sandboarding. That's right, it's like snowboarding or surfing, but on sand. First, a safety briefing and an overview about the sand dunes.
Why is this shell here?
Because all this used to be under the sea, and then the sea's gone back and just left it as is.
Then we prep our equipment,
Waxing our boards.
real snowboards converted for use on sand. We climb to the top of the hill. It looks much steeper from up here.
I might not see you in a couple seconds, or I might not see the sun tomorrow, so bye. Wackerdoodles. Really fun, and then when you think you're gonna like get stuck, but it just goes. It's much easier than snow.
After a couple practice runs and lots of wipeouts, we get the hang of it. That was awesome.
Today we are heading south of Cape Town to the famous Cape of Good Hope. We'll explore the Cape Peninsula before heading east on the edge of Africa to Hans Bay. The Cape extends about 20 miles south of Cape Town and has long been a landmark for ships sailing from Europe to Asia. The scenery along the Cape is packed with dramatic vistas.
Well, to the side we see ocean and mist and pretty good surfing waves.
And at the tip, the Cape of Good Hope. We watch waves crashing in from the Atlantic. Or is it the Indian Ocean?
This is the Cape of Good Hope, the most southwest point in all of Africa.
Often thought to be the most southerly point in Africa, that title actually belongs to Cape Agulhas, a bit east of here. But the Cape of Good Hope and Cape Point are still must-see stops. It is near here where the Atlantic and Indian Oceans meet, and the waters are turbulent. The kids enjoy watching the waves crash onto the rocks.
Watch this, see that rock? Oh, you can see this wave going towards that rock, watch.
Yeah.
It looks like a waterfall right there, but it's just the seawater coming down. Look, what? See that?
And watching animals, and finding little creatures on the beach.
Snails, yummy, yummy.
But the Cape has far more famous animals to see along the way.
The Cape has a resident baboon population that are famous for breaking into neighborhood homes and even smiling cute for tourist pictures.
Oh, there's a baby on that.
And while the baboons may look cute, remember they can be very aggressive, so don't get too close and definitely don't feed them, or they end up relying on food from tourists. They are fun to watch though, and their cute antics keep us very entertained. After a nice lunch, a feast of seafood found in the waters here, in a restaurant that feels like somewhere in Europe.
The baboons don't get in here and eat my fish and chips. Oh wait, there's one.
And some conversation about language differences in Africa. Or is it London?
What is corn on the cob?
Millie.
What's ketchup?
Tomato sauce.
What about French fries?
They're known as chips.
Tomato, tomato.
Potato, potato.
We meet the other famous residents on the Cape. They're a bit more formal and dress in black ties for tourists. The Cape penguin population here started with a single pair of nesting penguins in 1982. Just outside Simonstown, there's a small entrance fee to Boulders Beach, where you can stroll alongside raised wooden walkways and come face to beak with these penguins.
Oh, look at that! Look at that! Lots and lots of penguins, little penguins, big penguins. They're like penguins of Madagascar, but different. A lot different.
We're on this beach with like 50 penguins and there's one right here. They're South African penguins, so they're only found in South Africa and Namibia.
African penguins are endangered with just about 40,000 left in the world.
The penguins that have stripes on them are adults. The ones that don't are kids. If they're big and puffy like a rat, they're babies.
Oh, there's a really small baby over there. It's a baby penguin.
They also have spots on their belly. Each pattern of spots is different, like a fingerprint.
And spend lots of time in the water. They can swim about 40 miles an hour and dive as deep as 300 feet. If you feel like taking a dip, you can swim with the penguins at certain times of the year. We're here in winter, so it's a bit cold. Kayaking is another option to see them out in the ocean.
But penguins aren't the only endangered animals that ply these waters. At the Save Our Seas Center, we learn about the world's largest predatory fish on Earth, the great white shark. The kids examine jaw skeletons.
That is a fossilized great white. It's really very, very old.
And the boys are impressed by an even older and bigger cousin.
This is the tooth of a prehistoric shark called the megalodon, or megatooth shark. It ate whales like modern sharks eat fish.
This is the biggest shark in the whole entire world, but it's extinct right now.
Glad that guy's not around anymore. Great whites are just big enough.
And this is the great white's biggest tooth. And this is a bull shark's smallest tooth.
As we examine the teeth, he explains how sharks use their teeth to hunt.
Rows and rows and rows.
And they keep growing, right?
Of spare teeth. Yeah, they keep coming. It varies from one kind of shark to another, but generally looking at about every 30 days, new teeth. They literally fold forward exactly as you've said, yes. So if you look carefully, you'll see there's a serration, a little bit like on a steak knife. A shark.
Oh my gosh.
Kidding.
Good thing there's not a great white nearby. They can sense blood from up to 3 miles away. But lucky for us, humans are not on the menu. In fact, great whites have gotten a very bad rap.
Have you ever seen a great white shark?
I've seen great white sharks when I've been out on the boat with scientists, and it's wonderful seeing them from the boat.
But he's seen them even closer while surfing.
Probably about 3 meters away from me, and came right up to me and just turned off and kept going.
Was it freaky?
It was actually quite nice in hindsight, but it was a bit terrifying at the moment. But it was actually quite reassuring to know that an animal as big as that can come up next to you and have a good look at you and just move off.
He tells us that lots of people come to this area to get in the water with the great whites. In cages, of course. And I see an idea spark in the boy's mind. Guess I know what we're doing in Hansby.
Hansby is a quaint village just east of Hermanus on the south coast. Tucked into the Fynbos, or floral and shrub-covered hills, just north of town is Grootbos Private Nature Reserve, where we're staying. This 5-star lodge eco-paradise features the best of surf and turf, from horseback riding and cave exploration to whale watching and, you guessed it, great white shark diving. But there's more than adventure here. Grootbos Private Nature Reserve is known for its gourmet food and the community programs it runs. And we're eager to explore, so we head off by safari jeep.
It's gonna get real bumpy now.
Want to ride in the back? Okay. Yeah.
To the Gardens, home of Growing the Future, a life skills college established here by the owners of the resort.
This is where we take 8 ladies out of Stanford, and we take different crops and things, and we teach them how to grow with crops, how to work it, how to produce it, and how to do it sustainably through the year. But when somebody places that idea into your head, you get a new idea and you get new ways of doing things, and you start thinking, and it helps the communities a lot, and it helps individual people because they go out and find better things and better jobs and everything for themselves.
And the kids dig in with the farmers straight away. Through the program, these women learn to grow and sell crops, and they are sent to other villages to teach them.
I'm going to give lectures to the people in my community back in Stanford soon, so yeah, I will learn them what I learned here, and so on we can build a safer community.
What you learned here, you're going to go and tell them how to garden and plant and stuff?
Yeah, and how to produce the food, yeah.
And she starts by teaching the boys how to plant.
That as well. Close it very gently and leave it like that.
I just planted a potato. Grow strong.
What does these grow?
Beetroots.
So is this going to be decomposing stuff?
Yes, it can. We leave it on the ground like this. Alfalfa, very good for the soil. What they do is decomposing all this stuff. What we forget here, they
like
decomposes that and turning it into compost again. Microorganisms.
They help pick vegetables for the kitchen.
Yeah, I filled up my bag. See?
and stop to eat a few.
I like it.
Yum.
I will transplant.
Whoa, big spider!
Oh, man, that's not too big. We've seen much bigger than that.
And of course, with a farm, there's lots of animals.
Eat some bread.
Collecting eggs,
Oh my gosh, that is warm.
These are unfertilized eggs.
They lay so many eggs.
fresh eggs, but you gotta pay the chicken toll.
Yeah, I tried to grab it and he grabbed my finger. Ow.
And then they take the produce and they go and sell it. So they've got people they're already selling to.
One of their biggest clients is the Group Boss Lodge, who buys the organic produce from these farmers to cook for us.
So it's not like we're trying to give them one skill, but we're trying to give them the idea to create more skills. And it's working quite good.
After all that planting and animal feeding, it's time to ride out. So they bid the farmers goodbye.
Remember, the stick is where mine is. Okay, Jacob. Thank you. Bye.
And we head to the corral.
It's a pony. And now it's a unicorn.
Group Boss has horses for guests to ride.
How does that not hurt?
See this line there? That's the border between the sensitive and the wall. So you put the nails on the outside of that line.
And he explains that the outside line is like a fingernail to us, so the horse can't feel it.
Go.
And then we saddle up, English saddle style, of course,
Horn. Where's my horn?
and ride out over an old airstrip and through the spectacular flowers of the Fynbos. Or the lunch buffet for the horses.
Do they like those berries on the bush?
And when we get back to the stables, it's time for dessert. For the horses, that is.
It sounds weird because it sounds like I'm picking flowers for my horse, but they eat them.
And the boys discover one other cute, cuddly creature on the farm.
Okay, here's some food for you. And here's some food for you, Nathan.
Bunnies, bunnies.
This is so cool. You can feel its heartbeat. It's so fast. I want a bunny. Don't you want a bunny now?
No. We can?
No.
This is my favorite. He's my favorite. His name's Puppy.
And some of their bigger friends.
It's like as big as a great white shark.
I cannot believe a pig got that big.
Which reminds them of what other animals lurk nearby. So after some playtime at the resort and some relaxation time for Mom and Dad, we head to the water's edge to keep a lookout. But what we see is not a shark fin. This part of the coast is one of the most likely places in the world to sight whales from land. And just as we walk up to the shore, a whale appears right in front of the sign that explains about the whales.
Its size compared to all those elephants.
It's like it was planned. Today is the big day. We're heading out with a group called Marine Dynamics to see if we have the nerve to hop in a cage surrounded by great white sharks. We get a briefing where guide Nicholas tells us that great white sharks have a bum reputation.
Movies such as Jaws, these thrill-seeking movies have really put great white sharks in particular in quite a bad spotlight.
Nicholas assures us that shark cage diving is quite safe. In fact, he says we're more likely to die from being hit by a falling coconut than by a great white shark bite. And he says it's appropriate for all ages and skill levels.
It's a family thing. The youngest, guest we had in the cage was probably around 5 years old. The oldest was 85.
And Marine Dynamics is not just a tourist guiding company. They are conducting actual scientific research.
Actually documenting and constantly doing research. But of course, we try to make it fun for you as the clients by showing you these amazing animals. And quite tremendously, some of even the smaller sharks have moved all the way up the west coast, up till Namibia, turned around, came back. Nicole was a large female that actually shot all the way down to Australia.
Okay, we're convinced. So we suit up, We need full wetsuits in this 60-degree water and head out into the harbor.
Shark! A shark! Oh my god! Oh my god! We just saw a great white.
What do you think?
And after watching the seals frolic, we head away from the shore and get a closer look at the main attraction.
It's huge. Oh my god!
You got that?
Oh! It jumped! Oh! See, its teeth.
The moment of truth arrives. Why are we going down in with them?
We're crazy.
Is it cold?
No.
Here we go.
I mean, 16 different sharks, and not a single one of them tried to get anybody in the cage or anything like that. They were doing just brilliant passes by the cage, showing off a bit of their stuff, and then they swim on by. We just use their natural curiosity to show them to the people. By showing the people how beautiful these animals are, we're trying to dispel this rumor that there are these beasts that will literally slaughter anything in the water, and showing them actually for the beautiful animals that they are.
All they care about is the food. They don't attack people because they're angry unless you make them angry, but they're not, I mean, they're dangerous, but you shouldn't be afraid of them.
Yeah, they have big teeth.
Well, this is pretty crazy. It's a good experience. It's really fun. I loved it.
It was really crazy.
The shark cage was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, although I think we all would do it again. It was amazing seeing these huge and very graceful creatures glide by with amazing power. Once we were in the water, it really was not that scary and very enjoyable to watch. Back at the hotel, we sit on the deck and watch the sunset over the rolling floral hills and the ocean beyond, as we watch the sun sink into the southern hemisphere over the Cape of Good Hope. We reflect on our time here in the Western Cape, Cape Town with its laid-back beach feel, nature and adventure activities, farming and the incredible vistas of Fynbos, and of course, the experience of the day, great whites. And I get a real sense of what a true adventure experience South Africa has to offer families here at the edge of the continent.